Hi everyone, Kathy here with the Math Collective. Today we are going to be exploring math fact fluency. What about the math facts is a topic that comes up in every single professional development that I lead, whether it's with our youngest learners all the way up through high school. Educators, school leaders, families are really concerned about this math fact fluency mastery. And so in this video, we explore that focus a little bit, and we also talk about some ways to support our mathematicians in developing confidence with their math facts and some strategies for assessing which facts they do or do not yet know in a way that builds up their math identity. I hope that you enjoy. If you do, feel free to subscribe and to comment. And if you have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out. Thanks very much. Hi, everybody. Kathy here with the Math Collective. Today, I'm going to share with you one of the most common questions that I get near the end of every professional development workshop, which is, what about fact fluency? So I hope that you find this session informative, and if you have some ideas or responses, I'd love to hear from you. So we're going to begin by thinking about what is fluency. And I'd like you to take 30 seconds, a minute, you can pause if you need more time, and just really think about what does it mean to be fluent in something? Or more specifically, what does fluency look like when we think about math? I'm going to share with you some of the responses from educators about what is fluency. So some people say that it means math facts, automaticity, memorization, being able to do mental math, accuracy, being timed. And other teachers say it's using strategies appropriately, efficiently retrieving information or facts, and being able to manipulate numbers, composing and decomposing to get your answer. Maybe these look familiar to you and are similar with your responses, maybe not. So just think about how the definition of what fluency is can vary from person to person. On the UCubed website, there are phenomenal resources about building growth mindsets and engaging students in critical thinking. There's a video here that's called Speed is Not Important. I highly recommend sharing this with educators and with students and with families. And it's about shifting our understanding of what fluency is and what it isn't. And just thinking about how does math fact fluency appear in our content standards? So in third grade, we see that by the end of third grade, students are expected to know from memory all of the products of two one-digit numbers. That means all the way up to 9 times 9. Now, you're going to have some mathematicians that can memorize their math facts without an issue. And then you're going to have mathematicians who struggle with some of these math facts, or many of them, or a few of them. And the question is, what do we do now? So if you have a group of students who know their math facts, and then you have some students who don't, we really need to make some instructional decisions. Are we going to continue to force memorization? Practice, keep going, quizzes? And if so, how's that going? Or are we going to create some opportunities for students to develop that relational understanding and to draw the facts that they do know to help them figure out the ones that they're still working on? Here we have a quote from Joe Bowler from Fluency Without Fear. I'm going to give us a moment to just read it to ourselves. And I'll go ahead and read it. Teachers across the US and the UK ask students to memorize multiplication facts and sometimes addition and subtraction facts too, usually because curriculum standards have specified that students need to be fluent with numbers. We just saw this in the Common Core standards that we just looked at. Parrish, drawing from Fosno and Doak, defines fluency as, quote, knowing how a number can be composed and decomposed and using that information to be flexible and efficient with solving problems, end quote. Whether or not we believe that fluency requires more than the recall of math facts, research evidence points in one direction. The best way to develop fluency with numbers is to develop number sense and to work with numbers in different ways, not to blindly memorize without number sense. Now, usually at this point in a professional development, I would ask, how does the video maybe that we watched or this quote add to or change your thinking about what math fact fluency is? And I'm going to share with you what emerges in conversations with educators. So here you can see that our first group added that it overlaps with number sense, and students are encouraged to use different strategies and the idea of flexibility. Our second group identified that it's about retrieving strategies, not speed. We want our mathematicians to build comfort with numbers and to increase familiarity and build upon our previous knowledge. Now, just thinking about how much more powerful the second set of understandings of what fluency is than the first, right? Instead of just memorizing, we're tapping into that critical thinking, authentic experiences. What do I know instead of all of the things that I might not know yet? So at this point, we visit a two-pen check-in. I'm going to explain what this is. So a two-pen is basically um, taking away that timed pressure from a multiplication or a division quiz, like a Mad Minute or a fluency check, and giving students opportunity to solve problems with as much time as they need using any strategy. So the idea is that you can use the same assessments that you maybe have had for a while or that you have been curious about. And students need two different color pens. For a predetermined amount of time, it depends on the teacher how long you want to give them. They work in that first color and then they turn over their paper and then they flip it back over with the second color pen. And this gives you a lot of really important information. Which math facts do your students know like that? Which ones are they using different strategies to solve? But we are taking away that timed component, which harms so much of our mathematicians' math identities. And we want to see like which of these do you need a little bit more time with? Can you use any of the facts that you've already done to help you solve the ones that you're unfamiliar with? So you can see here that to administer a two-pen, you just need the copies of the assessment. And like I said already, the students need two color pens to write with. And then they switch to the second color. When students are finished, I recommend that they flip the paper over and just write a story problem on the back. And the reason why is that you don't want kids getting up and walking around the room because that's going to add pressure to the kids that are not finished yet. So having a quiet task for them to work on when they're finished is a beneficial idea. Students can start with any of the problems that they know just to be strategic about this. So if the first problem is confusing to them, you can encourage them to jump around. And then just being really intentional about how you use or share the data. Students should be aware of which math fact or facts are their goals. For example, if you have a student who knows their twos and they're working on their fours, they need to know that they're working on their fours. Because when they know that and they take ownership over their goals, then they can go home and share with their families, like, I'm working on my fours. And it can be something that they're seeing in their everyday world, or their families are helping them or making connections. So when students have goals, it's important for them to know what those goals are and to work towards those goals so that they can celebrate their growth as well. And lastly, just as with any other assessment task, as educators, taking a moment to really consider what's the purpose of this task? Like, why would you give a two-pen? What information are you trying to gather about your learners? What skills and concepts does it assess? And what strategies do you anticipate students are going to use to solve the problems? So if you're going to give a two-pen and collect the data and use that to inform whole class or small group instruction, it's a great way to get data about students and where they are with their math facts. But giving a two-pen just to give two-pen or just to grab grades is not a great practice, because what are we going to do with the information that we get? So it's just encouraging us to be really intentional with the tasks that we give our students and thinking about how are you going to use that data to either inform instruction or goal set for the students or with the students. So just being mindful about how often and when and why we're giving assessments that might look like this. So if you give it a go, I'd love to hear from you. Here's my contact information and keep in touch. And I hope that you found this helpful. Thank you.